Hey everyone, welcome back. Today, we're diving into a Hollywood tale that left many people stunned, an unexpected discovery linked to the quiet residence of legendary actor Robert Redford. After years of choosing a life away from flashing cameras and public noise, his private estate suddenly drew intense curiosity when long-hidden details quietly came to light. Behind those walls lies a story few imagined, layered with mystery and unanswered questions. What awaits beyond that threshold challenges, assumptions, and sparks endless intrigue. Let's uncover it together. Stay with us, because this is a journey you won't want to look away from. Have you ever felt connected to the legacy of Robert Redford or experienced one of his classic films? If yes, drop a 1-inch the comments. If not, leave a 0. Let's see how many viewers still recognize the lasting impact of a true cinema icon. Enjoy the video, and if you like thoughtful stories with a touch of mystery, consider subscribing to support the channel. More intriguing and unexpected journeys are on the way. A significant share of Robert Redford's resources was directed toward the Sundance Institute, the nonprofit he established in 1981 to champion independent voices in cinema. He consistently viewed film as a powerful medium for bringing overlooked stories into the light. Yet lesser known is the breadth of his quieter commitments beyond Sundance. Over the years, he discreetly supported initiatives connected to environmental stewardship in the American West, educational opportunities for young Native American artists, and community-based cultural programs. Rather than placing his name at the center, Redford often worked through intermediary organizations, choosing impact over recognition and allowing his philanthropy to operate with intention, humility, and lasting effect. It was only in the period following his passing that the full scope of Robert Redford's philanthropic network gradually came into view. These revelations highlighted a different dimension of his character, someone who did not merely speak about ideals, but consistently embedded them into his financial choices and long-term planning. Instead of shaping a public image around generosity, as many well-known figures do, Redford allowed his actions to remain understated, trusting time to tell the story. What ultimately surfaced was more than a list of contributions. It was clear evidence of careful thought and deliberate effort to ensure that the principles he valued would continue to endure long after public attention had moved on. Trust records and private correspondence reveal how carefully Robert Redford prepared for the continuation of the causes that mattered most to him. These documents point to foresight rooted in a strong sense of responsibility toward future generations. The network of charities, scholarships, and conservation initiatives he supported was structured to function independently of his personal involvement, ensuring lasting influence rather than momentary impact. The understated nature of his giving does not lessen its significance. Instead, it underscores a distinctive approach, one defined by quiet intention, practical effectiveness, and a commitment to sustainability over recognition. Those closest to Robert Redford recognized that generosity was not a side note, but a defining thread in the life he chose to lead. Even without constant public attention, his dedication to environmental care, cultural respect, and community well-being consistently shaped his decisions. Recent insights reveal a person whose compassion was expressed not through statements alone, but through thoughtful, long-term commitments. This enduring spirit of giving stands as powerful evidence of how deeply he reflected on the role each individual can play in contributing responsibly and meaningfully to society. In the end, the philanthropic path shaped by Robert Redford is not merely a narrative about wealth or financial capacity. It is a reflection of a life guided by enduring principles, showing how a single individual can create far-reaching influence without seeking recognition. These understated yet purposeful efforts may stand as the most valuable legacy he passes on to future generations. His story is defined not only by films or artistic achievement, but by a steady dedication to progress, care, and shared responsibility. In this way, his commitment to a better world remains an inseparable chapter in the story of his life. What has caught many observers off guard is the level of intention behind how quietly these plans were arranged. Rather than placing generosity on display, Robert Redford appeared to favor discretion, allowing actions to speak long after attention had shifted elsewhere. According to estate specialists, parts of his holdings may not follow conventional inheritance paths at all. Instead, they are expected to move into carefully designed trusts, structured to function independently for decades, carrying forward purpose and impact without relying on his name or public recognition. For those who knew him best, these insights simply affirm a truth long understood. Robert Redford's legacy reaches far beyond Hollywood acclaim or the Sundance name. At its core, it reflects a deliberate effort to leave behind meaningful support for the causes he cared about most. As the review of his estate continues, further details surrounding these quietly arranged plans are expected to surface. Together, they are likely to reshape not only how his resources are distributed, but also how the lasting influence of his life and values will continue to echo well beyond the end of his career. As with any estate of significant scale and complexity, the question of how Robert Redford's legacy would be organized quickly drew attention after his passing. A figure whose life spanned multiple worlds, from cinema and art to environmental stewardship, he left behind assets that were not only substantial in value, but wide-ranging in form. The holdings encompassed property, culturally important artworks, extensive personal archives, structured trusts, and outstanding financial obligations. This intricate combination transformed the settlement process into a careful legal undertaking, demanding patience, precision, and thoughtful consideration. Robert Redford was a father to 4 children, though only 2 outlived him, Shauna Redford and Amy Redford. His family history also carries moments of quiet sorrow. His eldest son, Scott, passed away in early childhood, and his second son, James Redford, died in 2020 following a prolonged illness. Today, his closest heirs include his 2 daughters and several grandchildren. Early accounts suggest that Redford approached this reality with characteristic foresight, carefully structuring wills and trusts to reduce uncertainty and avoid the conflicts that so often arise in prominent families. This deliberate planning reflects a desire for continuity, clarity, and harmony beyond his lifetime. What adds complexity here is not family disagreement, but the intricate way the assets themselves were designed. Many holdings associated with Robert Redford, especially those located in Utah, were placed under conservation arrangements, significantly limiting or fully preventing commercial use. Other assets remain legally constrained due to unresolved obligations linked to the decline of the Sundance catalog and related ventures. Alongside this, substantial sums were committed in advance to charitable causes, particularly supporting environmental protection and the arts. Together, these layers mean that the portion of the estate available for direct inheritance is far more limited than its overall scale might initially suggest, reflecting priorities shaped by values rather than simple accumulation. There is growing discussion that a substantial share of Robert Redford's personal art and artifact collection may ultimately move beyond private hands, finding new homes in museums, academic institutions, or nonprofit spaces. For Redford, the idea of legacy extended beyond family continuity alone. It also meant ensuring that the principles he valued would remain active and accessible. This careful balance between private inheritance and public contribution is now shaping how observers and specialists interpret his life's work, highlighting a philosophy in which service, meaning, and shared cultural benefit often took precedence over personal gain. Those who knew Robert Redford well describe him as profoundly devoted to his family, a bond that grew even stronger following the loss of his 2 sons. At the same time, he was known for his resolve and far-reaching perspective. The legacy he shaped was never intended for a single moment or one generation alone, but for continuity across time within his family and far beyond it. In that context, directing a meaningful portion of his resources toward cultural and charitable purposes felt entirely consistent with who he was. Even if it meant narrowing the share passed directly to his descendants, he appeared guided by a belief that true inheritance also includes values, opportunities, and contributions that endure for many generations. Legal teams and financial experts are now carefully examining the full scope of Robert Redford's holdings to distinguish between personal inheritance and assets bound within nonprofit or protected legal frameworks. This is a meticulous process, one that may unfold over months or even years before reaching clarity. Yet one conclusion already stands out: nothing was left to coincidence. Every clause, every document reflects deliberate intention. In shaping these plans, Redford left more than instructions for managing an estate. He left a quiet blueprint for how his life, values, and choices were meant to be understood long after he was gone. So far, there have been no visible signs of disagreement, and family members have publicly shown unity in respecting the intentions of Robert Redford. Still, specialists caution that as the full scope of the estate comes into focus, including any unresolved obligations or assets not yet fully assessed, unexpected developments may emerge. At this stage, his daughters and grandchildren remain at the heart of a careful and sensitive process. Here, inheritance extends beyond financial value alone. It involves the responsibility of guiding a legacy whose scale and meaning reach far beyond what any single family could manage on its own. Even as Robert Redford slowly stepped away from appearing on screen, his connection to creativity never truly faded. In the days after his passing, archivists and estate stewards uncovered an extensive collection of files, notebooks, and digital archives, revealing projects he had been developing quietly over time. Among them were incomplete scripts, carefully annotated outlines, and working notes for several prospective documentary ideas. The themes running through these materials point to enduring concerns, environmental change, the condition of civic life, and the stories of indigenous communities, underscoring a lifelong engagement with social responsibility and the world beyond cinema. Several of the manuscripts were surprisingly recent, carrying dates from his final years and revealing that Robert Redford continued to generate ideas and creative momentum well beyond his announced retirement. Those close to him recall a mind that rarely rested, marked by steady curiosity and quiet drive. While he no longer stepped in front of the lens, he remained active behind the scenes, offering direction and thoughtful guidance. Correspondence with emerging filmmakers through letters and emails shows him sharing advice, encouragement, and at times direct collaboration on developing projects. Together, these exchanges reflect a lasting commitment to nurturing new voices and ensuring that creative energy continued to move forward through the next generation. This discovery does more than illuminate Robert Redford's creative past. It reveals a figure who was still looking forward, deeply invested in the future of independent storytelling. The ultimate fate of these archives remains uncertain. Some materials may one day enter public collections, while others could stay within the family's care. Yet their very existence adds a powerful new layer to his story. They portray Redford not as someone closing a chapter, but as an artist in constant motion, curious, engaged, and evolving, whose creative spirit continued to grow quietly right up to the final moments of his life. For those tasked with cataloging and studying the estate, these materials hold significance far beyond monetary value. They offer rare insight into the character and discipline of Robert Redford, revealing a work ethic that never truly paused. Taken together, the documents speak to a lifetime anchored in storytelling, a journey shaped by sustained curiosity, creative responsibility, and a steady commitment to using art as a meaningful force within society. One of the most touching findings among Robert Redford's personal effects had nothing to do with finances or filmmaking, but with a carefully preserved collection of letters he had kept across decades. Stored methodically in boxes and cabinets throughout his Sundance home, this correspondence offered archivists an unexpected window into a life usually guarded from view. Within those pages emerged reflections, emotions, and quiet moments rarely shared with the public. In many ways, these letters carried a significance far deeper than any physical asset, revealing a private emotional landscape shaped by memory, connection, and enduring humanity. The collection also contains correspondence with some of Hollywood's most influential figures. Handwritten notes from Paul Newman reflect a bond rooted in trust and mutual respect, one that reached far beyond their work together on screen. Letters exchanged with directors Sidney Pollack and George Roy Hill reveal spirited discussions about scripts, social ideas, and the deeper purpose of storytelling itself. Together, these documents capture the intellectual and emotional landscape surrounding Robert Redford, a creator whose career unfolded alongside decades of cultural change. In doing so, they form a rich portrait of a thoughtful, layered individual shaped as much by dialogue and reflection as by fame. Alongside correspondence with famous peers, the archive also holds deeply personal family letters. Among them are notes addressed to his late son, James Redford, as well as quiet reflections written during solitary late hours. Some passages read like private journals, touching on his complicated relationship with fame, the pressure of constant attention, and lingering concerns about the planet's future. These pages introduce a different image of Robert Redford as a father, a confidant, and a committed advocate, someone who often chose reflection over recognition. This intimate layer adds depth and authenticity to the portrait of a life lived with intention and restraint. For historians, these letters represent an irreplaceable record. For admirers, they offer something even more resonant, a sense of closeness and truth. Within their lines, the carefully maintained image of a Hollywood icon gives way to a human voice, reflecting on loss, affection, uncertainty, and purpose. They remind readers that behind the public figure was an individual navigating the same fundamental questions as anyone else. Through this correspondence, Robert Redford emerges not only as a presence on screen, but as a person with a deep, reflective inner world. Together, these letters stand as a quiet testament to a life lived in many layers, rich in thought, feeling, and meaning. Whether these materials will eventually be shared publicly, entrusted to cultural institutions, or preserved within the family is still uncertain. What is clear, however, is that their discovery adds an intimate and revealing dimension to Robert Redford's enduring legacy. This is no longer only the familiar narrative of a celebrated figure, but a quieter account drawn from his inner world. Through these personal traces, the public gains a fuller understanding of the man behind the image, one whose thoughts, values, and reflections reached far beyond the screen. It is this depth of character and authenticity that continues to make Redford's legacy resonate and inspire across generations. While the cultural discoveries within Robert Redford's estate reveal depth and intention, the financial records introduce a more layered and challenging dimension. Alongside conservation arrangements and carefully structured charitable plans, reviewers encountered documentation pointing to unresolved obligations and complex liabilities. These elements add weight to the overall picture of his fortune. At the center of this challenge lies the downturn of Sundance Catalog and Sundance Living, which shuttered their remaining stores earlier this year amid increasing financial strain. Together, these findings highlight how even a thoughtfully built legacy can carry intricate and unresolved chapters beneath its surface. Numerous independent creators and small-scale partners later submitted claims citing unpaid obligations, with some amounts reaching into the tens of thousands. Although Robert Redford had withdrawn from everyday oversight well before these issues surfaced, his long-standing association with the brand prompted careful review of how responsibilities might be addressed. Records also reference lingering commercial disagreements, modest legal claims, and contractual commitments involving former production partners. Many of these matters are now woven into trust-based arrangements, adding further layers to an already intricate financial picture and underscoring how creative ventures can leave complex echoes long after operations have ceased. While these matters do not appear to endanger the overall foundation of the estate, they do add layers of complexity to the succession process. Unresolved obligations and legal considerations may slow the distribution of assets to heirs and designated charitable recipients. Specialists note that estates of this scale often require years to fully resolve, even when planning has been meticulous. As a result, the process may be gradual, shaping how Robert Redford's legacy unfolds over time and reminding observers that even carefully designed futures can face extended periods of transition. Even at this stage, financial observers suggest that some creditors may attempt to draw connections between the business downturn and Robert Redford's personal holdings. As a result, close attention is being paid to the legal boundaries separating individual assets from the enterprises he once founded or supported. This layered structure makes the settlement process far from straightforward and indicates that further legal review may be required. Rather than a simple transfer, the division of assets is shaping up to be a careful and extended process, with potential challenges still unfolding ahead. In this situation, estate administrators face a delicate task, safeguarding the long-term vision while responsibly addressing outstanding obligations. The challenge lies in protecting the charitable initiatives and conservation programs established by Robert Redford, ensuring they continue as intended, while also honoring the legitimate rights and interests of his family. Navigating this balance requires careful judgment and patience. It marks a complex chapter in the transition process, one where preserving meaning, fairness, and continuity becomes just as important as resolving financial matters tied to the legacy of a cinematic icon. In the end, the presence of financial obligations and legal complexities is a quiet reminder that prominence and achievement do not place anyone beyond practical challenges. Yet the cultural and social contributions associated with Robert Redford remain substantial and enduring. Those entrusted with his affairs now carry the responsibility of navigating unresolved issues while preserving the deeper meaning of what he built. This moment marks a compelling new chapter, one that underscores resilience, responsibility, and the ongoing effort required to protect a legacy shaped by art, values, and long-term vision. For those who admired him, these revelations act as a sobering reminder that even the most celebrated lives remain intertwined with the realities of modern finance. For his family and the legal teams reviewing the records of Robert Redford, the task ahead lies in carefully weighing unresolved business obligations against the preservation of a deeply personal legacy. While these findings do not diminish his standing or cultural influence, they undeniably add complexity, enriching the narrative with nuance rather than erasing its achievements. At the same time, these disclosures underscore how closely public identity and private financial reality can intersect. For decades, Robert Redford was widely regarded as a symbol of independence through his creative choices as well as his environmental and social advocacy. Yet the financial records reveal another dimension, one shaped by investments, expansion decisions, and calculated risks that carry long-term consequences. This perspective does not lessen his achievements or ideals. Instead, it offers a more complete and honest view of a public life lived within real-world systems. In doing so, it highlights an often unseen truth about celebrated figures. Behind the ideals and influence lies a complex balance of vision, responsibility, and practical reality. Addressing outstanding financial pressures also brings forward difficult questions about how best to preserve and protect Robert Redford's cultural legacy, particularly cornerstone initiatives such as the Sundance Film Festival. Observers wonder whether the projects he helped shape can continue to thrive amid economic uncertainty. In the months ahead, family members and longtime partners will likely face complex decisions, weighing practical realities against a steadfast commitment to Redford's belief that creativity, community, and shared voices should always come first. In the end, Robert Redford's story reflects a broader truth about human experience. Achievement, no matter how remarkable, is never fully shielded from the pressures of its time. In a world where financial realities often shape outcomes, even the most respected figures must reckon with the long shadows of earlier choices. Yet it may be this very tension between accomplishment and challenge that brings Redford closer to the public. Within that complexity, his journey feels more human, more authentic, and ultimately more deserving of thoughtful appreciation. The revelations from Robert Redford's residence left many observers genuinely surprised. Beneath a life defined by simplicity and discretion lay a remarkable collection of memories, personal keepsakes, and untold stories that had never reached the public eye. Together, they reflect not only an extraordinary professional journey, but also the rich inner world of a figure who chose privacy over display. If you found this story thoughtful or worth reflecting on, feel free to show your support by liking the video, sharing your impressions in the comments, and subscribing to the channel. I look forward to exploring more meaningful stories with you next time. Thank you for staying until the end, and see you again soon.